Okay, so now I want to talk about rendering. And you'll notice here that I've gone ahead and sort of changed the layout a bit. And one of the reasons I did that is because I realized after the last video tutorial there that I had most of the buildings having their detailed faces facing north. And the problem is this, because it's geolocated, it knows where it is, and the north side rarely gets sun, and you can't really simulate it then what it's going to look like in sun. So I changed the orientation. I had them face inwards here, south and east, so now they can get sun. Now, how do you control the sun? Well, the way we do that is by going to Window, Shadows, and here we can control the angle of the sun. And it knows where we are, but we can change what the date would be like at different times of year, and we can change the time. We'll do a morning thing. We'll get morning, summer shadows. Now, so let's talk a little bit about rendering. So to really make it look nice, you need to use a renderer. And a lot of the renderers cost money, but you can download free trial versions for like 30 days or so. And so we're going to work with one called Arielvision. So you go to the extensions.sketchup.com, you click on renderings, and then you can look at a bunch of different pieces of software that are out there. And you click on Arielvision, you download it, you fill out your information, and then you install it and you go back here, and then you'll have this little toolbar here. This is the Arielvision toolbar. Now, Arielvision does a lot more besides just actually render the image. It also has some components and objects in there. You can actually design trees. So this is, I can play around with this kind of tree and change its various parameters, and then I can actually insert it into the model. We're not going to do that right now. So we're not going to edit a tree right now, but we are going to take a look at some that we can load in. To get there, you just click on Load Render Ready Component, and it'll bring this up. They have some other things you can render here, like lights and mirrors, but we're going to focus on the trees. So we'll click on, say, a honey locust, click Create Place, and it'll appear in a second, and we can just place a couple of them around. And these are pretty fast to render. And by the way, you'll notice I've added some other stuff here. I took some liberties and added a little European architecture and some landscape features just to kind of make the rendering more interesting. And then when you're done with this, you can just sort of close this guy. And so now we have, so that's one nice thing about the aerial renderer. You also can work with a big palette of materials, because there really are not that many materials in SketchUp. So if, for instance, we wanted to take this path that I created here and we want to give it something more interesting, we can go down to, say, concrete, and there's a bunch of things to choose from. We could do something like a nice paver. So we'll place this paver. I might need to zoom in a little bit, and let's try it, and it worked. Okay, great. So, and then we can do this for building materials too. Things like windows, you can get some really cool window effects. You know, so if you want to get something kind of a little shiny, I could place this. I could place it on these windows here, right? And okay. Just make sure that actually got applied there. Okay, so now let's talk about the actual rendering. So we've learned how to do the shadows, and those shadows will be reflected and respected in this rendering. So first of all, we want to find a good angle. So you're going to get one rendering for every angle or for every view that you create. So this looks pretty good right here. It captures a lot of different things. Maybe I'll zoom out just a little bit so you can get that water feature in the background. And let's go ahead and render it. So in order to render this, you just click on the render button and it brings up this window, and you can choose what the lighting presets are going to be. We'll do exterior with sun. You're going to want to make it at least large. You could also do high res. We'll just start with large for now because it doesn't take quite as long. And then the rest is pretty straightforward. So the rendering does take a few minutes, so I'm just going to hit start rendering, and then we'll continue the end of the tutorial from there. So here's what the render window looks like, and as you can see, it's got this progress bar here, and you can really stop the rendering anytime you want. It's always doing what are called passes. It's slightly improving the quality. It's now done 11 passes, and at this point, it's not going to get that much better, so I can really just go ahead and click on this button to stop the rendering, and it's looking pretty good. So I've stopped the rendering. I can now save it by clicking on this and as a JPEG or whatever image I want. I can change the brightness to it's maybe a little bright here, but anyway, and I can zoom in, and as you can see, it's really nice looking. If I compare it to what I see here in SketchUp, you can see SketchUp is a lot more clunky looking. So the rendering's really done a great job, and you can really take as many different angles as you want, and I think with renderings it helps to get a bunch of different angles so that you can really see how things look from all different sides. You don't have to do hundreds of angles, but maybe 2 or 3 or 4 to kind of get an idea of what a plan looks like. And so that, in a nutshell, is my set of video tutorials for SketchUp. Hopefully this will help you put together nice site plan projects using this software. Thanks.